আজকের সেশনের লাইক টপিক হচ্ছে Azure AI Foundry overview. But আজকে while we give some overview of the Azure AI Foundry, the tool from Azure portal, আমরা ট্রাই করব যে যেহেতু নিউ প্রফেশনালসরা স্টুডেন্টরা এবং দোজ হু আর অলরেডি ওয়ার্কিং ইন দ্য আইটি ওয়ার্ল্ড তারা যারাই দেখতেছে তারা যেন find out something interesting from the session, not just like giving some demo. এটা একটু আগে কথা বলছিলাম আশরাফ ভাইয়ের সাথে। We will try to cover a bit. আমরা অনেক ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং নিয়ে শুনতাম, রিগ্রেশন, ক্লাসিফিকেশন, টাইম সিরিজ। দেন এখন ফাউন্ডেশনাল এলএলএম নিয়ে শুনি, different apps like GPT, Chat GPT, Claude, Cursor. So how do they sit together side by side? এবং কেউ যদি আজকে বিল্ড করতে চায়, কেউ যদি আজকে এআই বেসড কোনো একটা সলিউশন বিল্ড করতে চায়, কিভাবে বিল্ড করবে অ্যাজিউর ইউজ করে? দেয়ার ইজ অ্যাজিউর মেশিন লার্নিং স্টুডিও, আমরা এর আগে অনেকবার ডেমো টেমো দেখাইছি। বাট এখন আবার অ্যাজিউর এআই ফাউন্ড্রি, এআই ফাউন্ড্রিটার কাজ কি, কিভাবে ইউজ করবে, হোয়াট ইজ ইট অফারিং? So we will try to like touch a lot of small things today, and hopefully it will be useful for the audience. So before I jump in into the Azure AI Foundry, একটা জিনিস I just want to quickly show to the audience. First thing হচ্ছে a quick difference between traditional machine learning এবং foundational machine learning যেটা আমরা এখন দেখি। সো আগেকার দিনে যেটা ৮-১০ বছর আগে যেটা আমরা এআই এআই ওয়ার্ল্ডে দেখতাম, ইভেন ৬-৭ বছর আগেও, যে এআই বলতে হচ্ছে আমাদের কিছু ডেটাবেজ আছে, কিছু এটা হতে পারে ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ডেটা, ইন্স্যুরেন্স ডেটা, হেলথ কেয়ার ডেটা, ইমেজ ডেটা, অ্যান্ড উই আর কাইন্ড অফ building some sort of small model, TensorFlow দিয়ে, Theano দিয়ে, PyTorch দিয়ে, Keras দিয়ে, to detect, okay, forecasting করতেছি যে জিডিপির গ্রোথ যদি এরকম হয়, আগামী ৩ কোয়ার্টার জিডিপি কেমন হবে, অর ইন্টারেস্ট রেট কেমন হবে, বা ইন্স্যুরেন্স প্রিমিয়াম কেমন হবে, অর আজ বেসড অন লাস্ট 1 ইয়ারের ওয়েদার অর 10 ইয়ার্সের ওয়েদার, আগামীকালকে কিরকম ওয়েদার প্রেডিকশন হবে। সো এই টাইপের ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং আমরা দেখতাম। বাট অল অন এ সাডেন লাস্ট ২-৩ বছরে আমরা কমপ্লিটলি নিউ একটা ট্রেন্ড দেখি, যে চ্যাট জিপিটি আসার পরে, যে ফাউন্ডেশনাল এলএলএম, জিপিটি বেসড মডেল। সো হাউ ডু দে সিট টুগেদার? ইজ ইট লাইক ট্রেডিশনাল এমএল অটোমেটিক্যালি ফাউন্ডেশনাল এমএল হয়ে গেছে? না, ইট ইজ নট। সো আমরা যদি দেখি ফার্স্ট, যারা নিউ ইনটু দি এআই ওয়ার্ল্ড অর টেকনিক্যাল ওয়ার্ল্ডে, একটা জিনিস তাদের ভালো করে মাথায় রাখতে হবে যে চ্যাট জিপিটি ইজ মেকিং এ লট অফ হাইপ, বাট ইট ডাজন্ট মিন সব এআই জিপিটি হয়ে গেছে অর ফাউন্ডেশনাল এলএলএম হয়ে গেছে। ইট ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। যখন আমরা কিছু, আই ওয়াজ জাস্ট লুকিং এট সাম ম্যাকিনজির এআই রিপোর্ট দেখতেছিলাম, সেখানে বলতেছিল যে অনলি 13% অফ দ্য মডেল দ্যাট মেক্স মানি, ওগুলো হচ্ছে ফাউন্ডেশনাল আর জিপিটি বেস মডেলের। বাট রেস্ট অফ দ্য 85% অর 87% অফ দ্য এআই ইউজ কেসেস ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং। অ্যান্ড ইভেন আমরা যে আয়াটা বলি অর আদার কোম্পানিজ যেগুলো যেখানে কাজ করছি গত ১০-১২ বছর, বেশিরভাগই হচ্ছে লাইক ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং, যেটা আমার ফোরকাস্টিং করে, চুর্ন অ্যানালাইসিস করে, আমার কাস্টমারের অবস্থা কি হবে, কাস্টমার চলে যাবে নাকি, কাস্টমারের ইনকাম কিরকম বাড়বে, সো এগুলো অ্যানালাইসিস করা, ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ফোরকাস্ট করা, ওগুলো সবই ট্রেডিশনাল। বাট এখন জেন এআই ইজ অলসো লাইক ব্রিঙ্গিং এ নিউ হাই, কাইন্ড অফ লাইক হাইভ প্লাস অলসো হোপ বোথ। সো উই উইল টক অ্যাবাউট কুইকলি অ্যাবাউট দ্যাট ওয়ান। সো ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং এ যেটা হয়, যে কি ডিফারেন্স, যেটা আমাদের একটা ডেটাবেস আছে আর আমরা একটা আর্টিফ্যাক্ট বিল্ড করি। এই যে মডেলটা যে বিল্ড হয় এআই, এআই মানে হচ্ছে যে আমাদের এই ডেটাবেসে যা যা প্যাটার্ন আছে, যা যা ইনফরমেশন আছে, এইটারই রিপ্রেজেন্টেশন একটা বাইনারি লাইক আর্টিফ্যাক্টের থ্রুতে। সো যেন আমরা খুব ইজিলি, রেদার দেন গোয়িং থ্রু অ্যাগেন অ্যান্ড অ্যাগেন, উই হ্যাভ এ প্রপার লাইক এ স্কিমা, প্রপার লাইক ডিসিশন কাইন্ড অফ ট্রি হতে পারে, এক্সজি বুস্ট হতে পারে, ডিফারেন্ট টাইপস অফ ব্যাগিং বুস্টিং টাইপের অ্যাক্টিভিটি হতে পারে। So based on this historical pattern, we try to predict something new on a new data set. So এই ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং এ যেটা হয়, আমাদের এআই মডেলের আর কোনো আইডিয়া নেই এই ডেটাবেসটা বাইরে, যেটা আমরা অলরেডি প্রোভাইড করতেছি। সো সে জাস্ট লার্ন করে বেসড অন দ্য অ্যালগোরিদম, যে কিভাবে এই ডেটাবেসের প্যাটার্নগুলি আমি শিখতে পারি, যেন আমি নিউ ডেটাবেস ডেটা পেলে এই প্যাটার্নটাকে রেপ্লিকেট করে কোনো কিছু একটা প্রেডিক্ট করতে পারি। সো দিস ইজ হোয়াট উই সি ইনটু দি ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং। প্রেডিকশন ইজ একটা ওয়ান অফ দ্য এক্সাম্পল, যেটা বলছিলাম যে আমার ইন্স্যুরেন্স প্রাইস কতটুকু হবে, অর আমার হেলথ কেয়ারের লাইক কস্ট কতটুকু হবে, অর আমাদের জিডিপি ফোরকাস্ট কতটুকু হবে। আমরা অনেক অনেক সময় শুনি বাংলাদেশের জিডিপি অর কাইন্ড অফ লাইক ইনফ্লেশন, মুদ্রাস্ফীতি, কতটুকু বাড়তেছে কমতেছে, we can predict those things. Or
আমাদের প্রোডাক্ট সেলিং এর একটা থাকতে পারে যে কোন প্রোডাক্টটা সেলিং হবে
100%,
অ্যামাজনে
yes,
নেক্সট 6 মান্থ, নেক্সট 3 মান্থ, তাই না?
100%, 100%, এই রিকমেন্ডেশন সিস্টেম গুলিও
সিস্টেম, হ্যাঁ।
এটার মধ্যেই পড়ে। বাট ইন্টারেস্টিং জিনিস হচ্ছে এই এই ডেটাবেসের বাইরে ট্রেডিশনাল মেশিন লার্নিং এ আর কোনো নলেজ নাই। সো এটা খুবই ন্যারো, এজন্যই
রাইট।
খুবই লিমিটেড অ্যামাউন্ট অফ টাস্ক এটা করতে পারে। সেম অ্যানাদার এক্সাম্পল যদি বলি যে ডকুমেন্ট ইন্টেলিজেন্স, আমরা অনেক সময় দেখি যে আমাদের অনেক লাইক পেজ আফটার পেজ লাইক ইনভয়েস আছে, লাইক বাংলাদেশি গভর্নমেন্ট অফিসগুলোতে লট অফ লাইক ম্যানুয়াল ডকুমেন্ট আছে। সো এখন যেটা দেখি যে ডিজিটালাইজেশনের থ্রুতে we can have take an image or convert them into PDF and then apply it document intelligence in Azure, so that it is stored as a right invoice number, right cost, right date and information, so that you don't need to keep those hard copies and you
And
can
you
have
can
a digital
search there
copy.
even, right?
Yes, you can do a lot of like searching, sorting,
Yeah,
you can do different types of report. So যেটা আমি দেখি যে এই রিপোর্টটার উপরও আমরা জেন এআই অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারি, বাট ফার্স্ট অফ অল আমাদের এই টাইপের লাইক ন্যারো এআই মডেল আছে যেগুলো দিয়ে ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল ওয়ান টাস্ক আমরা অ্যাপ্লাই করি আর কি। অর ফোরকাস্টিং, যেটা আমি বলছিলাম যে জিডিপি, অর
exactly.
রিগ্রেশন, যে আমার প্রাইস কতটুকু হবে, এই প্রোডাক্টের দাম কতটুকু হওয়া উচিত, এই টি শার্টটার, এই শার্টটার, based on all the other t-shirts available in the market, দারাজে হোক অথবা অ্যামাজনে হোক or something like that. Or image recognition, image recognition এ আর্টিফ্যাক্টের সাইজ আরো বড় হয় বিকজ এটা মাল্টি ডাইমেনশনাল ডেটা নিয়ে কাজ করতেছে। বাট যেটা আমরা দেখতে পারি যে আমরা দেখতে চাইতেছি এখানে কোনো হিউম্যান আছে নাকি, এখানে কোনো কার আছে নাকি। যদি একটা কার পার্কিং এর উপর একটা ক্যামেরা থাকে এবং আমি বিল্ড করি কার ডিটেকশন, সো কার পার্কিং এর ক্যামেরা থেকে আমি ফিড পাচ্ছি এবং বলতেছি যে এই ক্যামেরা পার্কিং স্পেসে এখন একটা কার আছে, or এই পার্কিং স্পেসে কোনো কার নাই বিকজ সে চলে গেছে, someone else can park. So those type of like small AI model যেটা আমরা বিল্ড করতে পারি, বাট ইউজুয়ালি ওই এআই গুলোর এই ডেটাবেসের বাইরে কোনো ইনফরমেশন নাই, অ্যান্ড দ্যাটস ওয়াই উই কল ইট ন্যারো এআই অর ট্র্যাডিশনাল এআই। সো এটা ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল টাস্ক স্পেসিফিক মডেল, এটার ইট রিকোয়ার লট অফ লাইক টাস্ক স্পেসিফিক ট্রেনিং অ্যাজ ওয়েল, যে আমাদেরকে বলতে হয় এটা গাড়ি এটা নন গাড়ি কিরকম ভাবে ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করতে পারে, অ্যান্ড ইট রিকোয়ার্স আ লট অফ লাইক হিউম্যান সুপারভিশন টু, অ্যান্ড ইটস ইজি টু এক্সপ্লেন ওয়াই ইট ইজ ইম্পর্টেন্ট। সো সাপোজ আমি যদি একটা মডেল বিল্ড করি যেক্ষেত্রে আমার লাইক বেসড অন আমার হেলথ সিচুয়েশন, আমার এইজ, মাই ফ্যামিলি ইনফরমেশন, it will say যে ও আমি যদি আলিকো অর মেট লাইফ ইন্স্যুরেন্স যেগুলো আছে বাংলাদেশে হেলথ ইন্স্যুরেন্স, কত টাকা আমি মান্থলি প্রিমিয়াম পে করতে হবে আমি এই ইন্স্যুরেন্স কাভারেজের জন্য। সো এআই আমাকে অ্যানালাইজ করবে হিস্টোরিক্যাল অনেক ডেটা, যে ও এই টাইপের মানুষগুলো এত টাকা পে করছে, সো যেহেতু আমি এই বয়সের এজ গ্রুপে পড়ি, এই হেলথ গ্রুপে পড়ি, সো আমাকে 50 টাকা দিতে হবে, 100 টাকা দিতে হবে, সামথিং লাইক দ্যাট। সো যখন আমি কারো কাছ থেকে টাকা চাচ্ছি বা কোনো একটা প্রাইসিং প্রেডিকশন হচ্ছে, সামটাইম different governing body, different people may ask, okay, how are you making this like kind of like justification or this assumption? So সেক্ষেত্রে it's very important, যদি আমার 40টা কলাম থাকে বা 50টা কলাম থাকে, we need to know which of the 5 columns are working behind that prediction, so that we can justify, okay, age group, health situation, location is more important behind this justification. So and it will be easy to explain. So those type of model, এটা
Rahat,
black box না।
I have a layman question. I mean,
Yes.
I'm in development, not in AI world. So, I mean, how do you detect those parameter to fit into the AI model? I mean, which parameter would you help to make decision?
So that's a very good like a question that you asked. So we call that process feature engineering. আপনার কাছে যদি একটা ডেটা সেট থাকে, ডেটা সেটের মধ্যে 200টা কলাম আছে, আপনার দরকার নাই যে 200টাকে জাস্ট লোড করে দিয়ে লাইক প্রে করা, ও এআই অটোমেটিক্যালি শিখে যাবে। নো,
Right.
দ্য মোর ডেটা উই প্রোভাইড, এটা হয়তো আন্ডার ফিট হয়ে যাবে, যেখানে আমার 50% 60% অ্যাকুরেসি। আমি যদি আবার মাত্র 5টা কলাম চুজ করি, যে ও আমি আমার ইন্স্যুরেন্স প্রিমিয়াম ডিটেক্ট করব বেসড অন অনলি এজ, লাইক হেলথ কেয়ার ইনফরমেশন, পাস্ট ফ্যামিলি ইনফরমেশন, দ্যাটস ইট, 3টা 4 বা 5টা, সেক্ষেত্রে আবার সমস্যা হবে যেটা ওভারফিট হয়ে যাবে।
আচ্ছা, আচ্ছা।
যখনই ওই ডেটাবেসের বাইরে কোনো কিছুটা ইনফরমেশন আসবে, সে বলছে 99% অ্যাকুরেট, বাট সে প্রপারলি ইনফরমেশন দিতে পারতেছে না আর কি।
Right.
সো সেক্ষেত্রে উই নিড এ ব্যালেন্স, যেখানে 5টা মেইন ইনফরমেশন দরকার, বাট অ্যাগেইন সাইড ইনফরমেশন গুলি আমাদের ইম্পর্টেন্ট। সো সেক্ষেত্রে instead of using 200 column, you may use 25, 30, 35 column.
Okay.
You need to like try different like iteration to find out that best like possible combination of columns that you will use.
Okay.
এটা ট্রায়াল এন্ড রান করে করে। সো একটা জিনিস আবার দেখি যে ট্রেন হওয়ার পরে সব অল 30টা কলাম বা 20টা কলাম are not the primary like follows like kind of like carry the impact factor. Maybe 5টা কলাম main impact factor, but বাকি 10টা কলাম হচ্ছে secondary impact factor behind any kind of like decision making. So ওইটাও important আপনার মডেলটাকে সিম্পল করা, বাট এট দ্য সেম টাইম লাইক accessible এবং reliable করা, overfitted না or underfitted না in that case. So you can also like explain this exactly what I said, যে আপনার 20টা কলাম থাকলে 5টা কলাম impact factor, বাকি 15টা non impact factor. There are things called SHAP, SHAP package. People can use it with XGBoost, LightGBM, this type of model to explain the reason behind those kind of like decision or prediction. So that is
Right.
also important. Those are also like good practices. But this is what we see into the traditional machine learning. Now the thing is, second one is foundational. So what we see into the foundational, ফাউন্ডেশনে আপনার টাস্ক ওয়াইজ ট্রেনিং হয় না, যে চ্যাট জিপিটি হোক বা জিপিটি হোক, O1 হোক বা ক্লড বা লামা বেস থিং হোক, they just kind of like scrap the entire internet if possible. এবং ওদের এখানে ডেটাবেজ আছে স্ট্রাকচার, আনস্ট্রাকচার্ড, ইমেজেস, টেক্সট, কনভারসেশনাল ডেটা, এদের আছে ফোরকাস্টিং, ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল, এক্সেল, সিএসভি, জেসন, এক্সএমএল, এভরিথিং। সো ওগুলা সবগুলোকে নিয়ে ট্রান্সফর্মার ওদের নিজেদের আর্কিটেকচার আছে। মোস্ট অফ দ্য টাইম দে ডোন্ট পাবলিশ, অর দে পাবলিশ ইট based on their like how open they are in different papers. They train that massive foundational model, those 7 billion parameter, 9 billion, 70 billion. It costs a lot of money, and again, it's not like they just train it one time and then done. No, they do a lot of like back and forth the training. That's why they need hundreds of like GPUs. Each of those H100 GPU or A100 GPUs, $40,000, $40,000 দাম এক একটা জিপিউর দাম। or 1 ঘন্টা 2 ঘন্টা ভাড়া করতে গেলে ফার্স্ট অফ অল ভাড়া করা যায় না, 3-4টার বেশি, Azure হোক, AWS হোক, and it cost a lot of money. লাইক প্রতি ঘন্টায় দেখা যায় যে 15 থেকে 20 ঘন্টার $20 পড়ে। সো those are, and একটা মডেলে কিছুই হয় না। If you want to build something bigger, you need at least 20, 30, 40 like a machine to train something. But যেটা করে যে they are training based on that model, and এই মডেলগুলো, ফাউন্ডেশনাল মডেলগুলো টাস্ক স্পেসিফিক না। সো অল ইউ ডু ইজ ওদের কাছে একটা বাইনারি রিপ্রেজেন্টেশন আছে, যেটা এই অল দোজ ডেটাকে তারা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করে ইন এ প্রপার ট্রান্সফর্মার আর্কিটেকচার বেসড। You are giving some sort of instruction to the AI model through some sort of communication. Oh, can you do translation of this text to Chinese or Mandarin or something like that? So one of the things some people say is it's an engineering. As a technical professional, I don't find it engineering. It's more into like the art of communication with an AI, because AI is already trained on a massive amount of data. We just need to find out how to tap into that potential of AI to get the information I want in the right format that I need. So I need to like pass that information, and that's what we are calling it prompt engineering or prompting, but it's more into like instruction providing. So we can use a single model for text processing, as I said, QA, translation, summarization, and a lot of other cases. But now the thing is, suppose you have an enterprise data set for your own bank, for your own insurance. If you use them as it is, maybe they don't know the like the language of your like enterprise or your domain, or finance কিভাবে use করা হয়, or insurance কিভাবে use করা হয়. That's where you need to have your own enterprise data. You can always fine tune it with your own data and provide, oh, these are the kind of like abbreviation, these are the kind of like extra information you need to know.
আমি জাস্ট আপনার কাছে এই টপিকে আসতে যাচ্ছিলাম যে you have Azure Foundry and I have my enterprise data in my side. I mean, how do I plug in these in Azure AI Foundry, or how do I use the BUST model into my business? Like,
100%. So again, when we touch it, that one, Azure Foundry or even Azure ML Studio, I'll give that quick overview as well. First of all, the data needs to be have some sort of connection with the Azure Foundry ecosystem. So
okay,
Azure Foundry এটা হচ্ছে একটা ইউনিফাইড প্ল্যাটফর্ম এন্টারপ্রাইজ এআই ডেভেলপমেন্টের জন্য, যেখানে আপনি মডেল ডেভেলপ করা, ট্রেন করা, ডিপ্লয় করা, মনিটর করা, you can do all those things. And not only one type of model, as I said, you can do both traditional and foundational model in this case. You also have a bunch of like option to deploy those massive foundational models. You can bring your own enterprise data to fine tune the model as well. While you're using the cloud computing, you don't need the GPUs and everything in your local environment, so that you can do a bit more detailed information, as you were saying, document searching, text classification, code generation. Because maybe insurance like wordings, those like unknown like kind of like terminologies, massive foundational model janina, because it's very like related to your own industry. But that's where the interesting part is for like enterprise data. You, once you fine tune it, you can give more detailed instruction for mapping, generation, text, blah blah blah. So this is where the main difference in between the traditional and foundational. Traditional, single task specific, easy to explain, but the foundational is multimodal, multitask. It's not trained for one specific activity, it's trained for a lot of different kind of things, and it's easily adaptable. You don't need training, but you can do some sort of fine tuning, and pre-trained unsupervised. So it is completely it's completely supervised in most of the cases. You can have unsupervised clustering, but this is more into completely unsupervised, and it's adapting based on the your need and everything. So this is the first thing I wanted to like quickly touch in my today's presentation for the Azure Foundry. And when we talk about so we talked about traditional machine learning and foundational machine learning. Now there is another thing. If you want to, as you were asking, you are working in the banking industry, insurance industry, you have your data, but you want to apply the AI for, suppose, document intelligence or something else. So do you need to build everything by yourself, or you can just use as an API? So that's where the interesting things also come, and you can like do a bunch of things from the Azure AI Foundry as well. So once, first of all, you need to have an Azure account. So you need to go to portal.azure.com. You can easily click. The first thing you will see is Azure AI Foundry. It's super easy to create. Just create project or hub. In my case, I just created Azure AI Foundry project. You need to select the subscription, the resource group, whatever you select, and then you need to provide name, any other friendly name that you want to provide, and the hub. So you always need to have a hub to have a project, but you can also project is more into like the hub is for your department. That's how we see it. But the projects are kind of like in a single department. There can be individual projects that is kind of like shared by multiple people. That's where projects are there. So once you create a hub, then you can create a project. And once you create a project, you will be in this page exactly. So once you're in this page, you can see Azure AI project, which is Azure AI Foundry. You can see activity log, you can see studio, a web URL. This is the URL you will have to copy and paste, and you will go to this page. So
Rahat,
it's super easy.
I'm
Yes.
just interrupting you. Did you share your screen?
Oh, you are not seeing my screen?
No, I can't.
Okay, let me share again. Do you see my screen now? Azure AI portal? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I can see now.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna repeat quickly. As I said, to use Azure AI Foundry, you need the create Azure AI Foundry as a service. So here, once you log into portal.azure.com, you can just click Azure AI Foundry. So there are two things. Azure AI Foundry has Hub, grouping container for projects, or you can have a single project. So the way we see it, it's more into hub is for your department, and projects are individual projects where multiple developers, analysts, data scientists are working in a single place. So you need to have the hub first. Once you have the hub, then you can create a project. Super easy. You can create your provide your subscription, some sort of resource group, some sort of name, and then you can select the hub in this case, and then you can review and create. So we have already created one. I'm not creating anything in this case. So once you create, it will look like something like this. So once you are in this page, you can just click Studio Web URL, go on the right, and then it will open your Azure AI Foundry in this case. But you also need to see some more information. So there is a settings, monitoring, automation, help. For the settings, you can see all your subscription information, workspace information. If you want to have any alert metric, any workbook, like diagnostics, you can do those things here more in detail based on that specific Azure AI Foundry project. But in our case, we don't need it for now. All we need is we want to see what is Azure AI Foundry, how do we play with it. So Azure AI Foundry, as I was saying, it's a unified platform. So it has a lot of information. It has a lot of like enterprise AI application development features. But there is another thing. Those who have used Azure, there is another tool called Azure AI Studio, Azure Machine Learning Studio. So in the past, I got this question that, oh, after Azure AI Foundry, is Azure Machine Learning obsolete? No, it's not. So those two have two different ways of handling. So suppose in your case, you have so I mean Azure Machine Learning Studio. It's also like the same way. You just go to the creator resource if you want to create. You just select Azure Machine Learning. It will take you to Azure Machine Learning Studio page, and then you can create following the subscription name, key vault, region, and blah blah those things. So in my case, I have already created ML platform development, so I'm just going to show it here. So what is the key difference between ML platform, Azure Machine Learning Studio, and Azure AI Foundry? So the key difference is a lot of the things it's in Azure Machine Learning Studio can like replicate or reflecting in Azure AI Foundry as well. But some of the key things are, as a developer, maybe you don't need to build any AI model from scratch. Maybe all you are doing is like retraining, fine tuning using LLM, or just you have your data into the blob storage or SQL Server. You're just connecting it with your like importing it in your Azure AI Foundry and applying AI on your data that is in the blob storage from the Azure AI Foundry. So those type of cases where all you need to do is to fine tune, apply enterprise graded AI activities, you will do it from Azure AI Foundry. I will show where and how and a bit more detail and which type of feature. But if you want to, if you are a developer, you are a hardcore data scientist, you need to load the data by yourself, you need to train the model by yourself, you need to fine tune it, you need to have a detailed analysis, you need to maintain the endpoint, you need to deploy the model, all those like detailed custom models, which can be both traditional and foundational. You will do those from Azure Machine Learning Studio. So the long story short, having AI Foundry doesn't mean ML Studio is obsolete. No, there are some features that are kind of like overlapping in between these two. But in most of the cases, they both have certain unique features. So just an example, so if you want to build your own custom model in Python, right, by writing code by yourself, you will use Azure Machine Learning Studio. You can write some sort of uh, like Python code. You can have some sort of like a notebook. You train it, you deploy it, all those things. You can do it from your Azure Machine Learning Studio. Suppose you are not a super technical data scientist. So in this case, all you want to do is you want to drag and drop and or use automated machine learning, that example that you are saying, you have 200 columns, you don't know which column to select, you don't know which algorithm to select. Can you build something simple for your organization? Yes, you can try out something. In this case, you can use automated machine learning where all those columns will be applied in bulk. You will train 30 to 40 AI model, and then at the end, all you will do is use one of them based on the best performing. So you for this type of custom cases, you can use automated machine learning. In some cases, you know the workflow, you know the process, you know what you're supposed to do, all those steps of data processing, data cleaning, all those things, but you don't have time to write the code, you just want something quick and dirty. You know the steps. In that case, you can load your CSV, Excel, you can even load your blob storage data, and then you can drag and drop all those, like selecting columns. You can manually select, oh, these are the 5 columns I want. Clean, apply clean missing data if there is any null value, NaN value, those things. Splitting the data into training test kind of thing. Applying algorithm, decision forest, and then evaluating, scoring. So those things you can always do it with the designer too. Those are for traditional machine learning approach. But in some cases, you also want to apply foundational model on your custom cases. So in that case, you can use prompt flow. There is a tool that is nicely built, so you can chat on your own data. You can also like apply, do some sort of like document searching. So like you can ask something, tell me the name of South Asian countries. You can convert it into some sort of like word embedding, and then you can look up into a Azure AI search or knowledge base, which you can create separately by yourself, and then you can have some Python simple code, and then you can pass the responses from your AI model through some sort of like a prompt. Oh, tell me this type of like information. You are having a conversation with a human, you have access to this knowledge base. Respond to the question that user is providing, provide the source in this case, and you can also like get the answer. You can also like add content safety that you want, if someone is asking anything inappropriate, stop them right away. So those type of like custom flows, you can build it in prompt flow, following using those foundational models. And again, prompt flow has a lot of other features too. You can have standard flow where text processing can be applied with a bunch of Python code, and then you can deploy it as a custom one. And then you can also have evaluation flow. One of the thing is chatbot based flow. Like communication, it doesn't mean you just use it as it is. For your enterprise, you may bring more context, bring more data, you may test it more, check the responses. So in that case, it's very important to have chatbot flow, so that your AI is not giving wrong information and it's always consistent in that case too. And as I'm giving a quick overview for the and we are considering that you are a data scientist, you can import your data. You can bring in your data from different types, as from URI, from folder, ML table. It can be tabular format, file format. You can also like connect your blob storage, as like time stream and other type of like databases in this case too. So if you want to bring it, once you bring that one, then you can use that data in notebook or automated ML and other cases. All those like activities, all those work I'm giving, they are considered as a job in a pipeline. So those jobs, you will see how many jobs you have when you're running it, how they're looking, how long it is taking, those kind of things. You can also have like a database pipeline for data ingestion kind of activities. Different AI is using different types of environments. You can maintain those environments in a single place, or sometime those environments are already there. All you are doing is loading those environments, applying the AI model, and then testing it and exposing it as an API or something like that. All the models that you are training will be in a single place, and then the endpoint that you are also having will be in your real-time endpoint, batch endpoint, those kind of cases. And the last thing is, and Azure ML is more into compute. You can have your compute, where it can be compute instance to train your model from a Jupyter notebook or those kind of things. You can use a compute cluster to 3 4 compute at a time from the compute cluster side. But if you want to have Kubernetes attached compute, serverless, you also have those options. So long story short, like Azure Machine Learning Studio, you will still use it. But if you want to build your custom AI modeling, training, development, deployment, you will use Azure ML heavily. Now the question is AI Foundry. So you're not building the custom AI. All you are doing is applying generative AI, exposing your AI as a uh, agent, chatbot agent, or something like that, to chat on your own data. Or you have the data, text data, or those images of your document intelligence. How can you just apply some sort of API without building something? So that's where your Azure AI Foundry comes. So the first thing I want to show is the model catalog. So when we talk about GPT or chat GPT kind of model, these days we hear about a lot of different types of model, like Phi, like a Chat GPT, kind of like a GPT-4, GPT-4 Omini. We heard about here about DeepSeek, the Chinese China-based model that made a lot of like noise recently. Cohere is another one, Llama-based model too, which is built by Meta. Claude, then the Anthropic. So interesting thing is, and then Hugging Face too. Hugging Face is a platform where all those like you can after training your model, you can register your model, make it available for others to test. So you can deploy certain model from the Hugging Face platform, But if you want to deploy it in a single place and then use it from your application, you can also do it. But one of the interesting thing is in AI Foundry, you already have access to almost 1800 GPT based model. So you don't need to do anything on your local machine. You don't need to do anything outside. So all you need can do is deploy it in a serverless manner, in a some sort of like easy to use serverless, so that you can use it in your chatbot, AI agent, or those type of like cases. So first of all, you're getting a platform where all the models are there, and you can easily use them. Those things are already tested, so you won't have to worry regarding that if you just want to try out different types of like GPT model. So that's one of the big usage of AI Foundry. So it's taking a bit time, so we can come back and like see it later. So the second thing is playground. So these days we don't hear about only chat gpt. There is also like chatbot kind of thing. There is agent, there is can be speech, there can be real-time audio, there can be other types of like a playground too. So you want to try out, you are not a super you are a technical professional, that's why you are have Azure account and you're playing, but you don't have the time to build those speech agent image playground. All you want to do is, I want to just like have a try how this model looks like. You have some sample data, you want to try that image playground. How can I do it without deploying a lot of things, without making a lot of work? You can just like click couple of link, you can select the DALI deployment, which I already have, and then you just like play it. You can quickly ask something, and then you can always, in my case, I think I need to redeploy because it's not supporting the East US, this DALI 2. Oh, I deployed it somewhere else. But again, you can go back and then deploy it in your own environment or East US, and then play it. So that's the main purpose. Then another interesting thing is other AI services, because as I was saying, AI is not just about chatbot or just building custom AI models. AI can have a lot more other use cases on image, language, translation, document translation, those things. So how are you going to use it? So one of the thing is, suppose if we look at vision and document. So if you go to Azure AI Foundry, it's more into for everyone. It's not for only technical people, it's for technical and non-technical people. Suppose or less are not data scientists, those doesn't want to build something from scratch but wants to use AI in your web app, mobile app. So that's why Azure AI Foundry is giving you that unified platform. So suppose you invoice, we talked about that invoice. So one of the easy way is in Azure AI Foundry, you are getting the sample code if you want to use it in Python or any other language that you want, or Java, JavaScript, or C Sharp. You can copy this code, you can provide your own resource key in your region, and then you can make it a part of your mobile app and web app. So what can you do is, suppose this is an example of a invoice. If we run the analysis, it will run it. It's the AI is already pre-built. It will run it, it will be applied, and then it's kind of giving you the content that you need. You can get that in a JSON. Here the JSON is already parsed and showing it in the right format too, like the postal code, or the amount due, or the addresses. But in your case, you can always search, okay, based on this Azure AI API response, which is in JSON, give me the vendor name. So you can easily get the vendor name information. And you can, in some cases, you can also get the confidence. So how confident AI is behind this vendor name. Or give me the billing address. It will give you the billing address on that JSON. So those type of like things, you don't need to like build any model by yourself from scratch. All you do is do some API call, and then use it. So this is the purpose. AI should not be only for certain people who are building things from scratch. It should be for everyone. It should be open, so that you can like apply it in your mobile app, in your web app, or any other like portal that you're working on. So and the code to use them is also like provided, so that you don't need to do much. You can use REST API, you can use SDK, and a bunch of like samples are also provided. So that's where the interesting part of AI Foundries. So AI Foundry is not just providing you the option to deploy your own LLM model, try out different types of LLM model. It's also giving you the option to use different types of like document-based AI, or even like suppose the credit card. If you have some sort of credit card, how can you like if someone is taking a photo of the credit card, you can pass it through the safe API call, and then you can get those information of the credit card name, numbers, all those things, and then maybe store it in a secured environment for your own mobile app for this type of like transaction and everything. So you don't need to build those things from scratch. Those things are already built in, like image captioning, image search, or other kind of like object detection. And that's the main purpose of the Azure AI Foundry. So one of the thing I just want to mention, Azure AI services used to have one feature called face recognition and face kind of like face expression or impression detection as well. But they have changed it. So the way they changed it is, suppose I can just select this sample one. Let's see what happened. So right now, because of the responsible AI practices to detect facial like kind of like expression, am I happy or no, am I angry or not, what is my age, so those kind of like follows break the principles of responsible AI practices. So that's why you cannot do those things. Those features are already retired, but you can still pass the use the AI model to detect the bounding box of the face. You can detect these those landmarks of the face, and then there is any face mask or not, those type of like activity. So you can also like use JSON. You can see, as I said, the bounding box, those landmarks, mouth right, mouth left. So you can do a lot of things like face matching, facial recognition, matching, those type of things based on the output you're receiving from the Azure AI Foundry Face API. So this is another type of like a features that are already available. Then there is another thing we always hear. Recently, we are hearing agent, Azure AI agent, agentic AI, those type of things. So it's a new feature that is kind of like provided or added as in preview right now. So you can build an agent easily in Azure AI Foundry and deploy it. So what does it mean? So suppose, first of all, I had to deploy select a model. So in my model and deployment, I had to go there. In this case, I have selected GPT-4, but I can select something base model or fine tune to. In my case, if I select base model, I am selecting GPT-4, GPT-3, or any other kind. Even I can use the DeepSeek, Llama, those kind too. All this 1875 model that I was talking about from the model catalog. If I select O1, chat completion, it gives me full idea, and then I can click confirm and deploy it. Deploy it to use it within my environment. I have already deployed one, so let me just use it. So in the agent side, I have just created this new agent, agent 365. I can just name it agent March 2025. And then the resources are automatically connected. Agent ID is automatically provided. In this case, I can give a new agent ID too. But the purpose of the agent, as Ashraful Bhai was asking, I have a lot of data. I want to chat on the data without building something scratch, a lot of work. How can I do it? So Microsoft is working on this feature called Azure AI Agent, chat on your own data, chat on your own knowledge. So all you need to do is deploy an agent, deploy a GPT model, provide instruction. You need to be very thorough. You are an agent, this is what your task. We have given you four types of knowledge bases. Each of those knowledge base means this type of informations are provided. You as an agent, you need to give responses. by searching it on those Azure like Fabric or a SQL database or SharePoint or any blob storage to the right to prepare the right response for the audience. You can also like have enhance the capability of the agent by adding some sort of like a Lambda function or Azure function or some other kind of like option too. You can control the and it's super easy. If you want to create some sort of like knowledge base to give more context, you can have Azure Bing search on files, Azure AI search in these cases. And again, as I said, it's on preview right now. You will be able to like add other types of databases too. And for the action, you can have code interpreter, open API, Azure function, and custom function in this case. But they're working to add more types of like actions too. So what happened if once you have it? I'm just using a like a kind of base one without modifying much. So I have created a small agent. I didn't modify anything. I'm not even adding any instruction. So all it is saying is give your agent clear direction on what blah blah blah. So I just want to try it. So I just want to test. Try it in Playground. Click it on there, and then it's ready. It's ready to chat. And while you are chatting, you can always add instruction, and you can ask, tell me the names of Latin American countries. So for now, it doesn't have any outside, like it doesn't have any knowledge base. All it is using is it's using some sort of like generic information and trying to find out, oh, Latin America is a region, blah, blah, blah. These are the Central American countries, South American, Caribbean. Other than that, blah, 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 blah is there. So you can always put what is the source of this info. So you can always like embed those type of like instruction into your here so that it says, oh, these are go look at this source, don't answer anything outside. So you can see this is giving some sort of like source information as well. So you can build this type of like GPT based agent, and then you can also like deploy it as a web app, deploy it and try it and make it a part of your like mobile app too, web app too, with this type of activities without building things from scratch and
Just one
everything.
thing, Rahat,
So
I
this
can tell, like,
yes,
you just need to
yes,
ingest your data into the model, and then you will get response from your agent, right? And maybe maybe
100%,
behind you are
100%.
creating some workflows, and your agent is following those workflow as like visual, like as a user, I just create those workflow in the agent, right?
100%. So as I was saying, so there is a two types of agent or kind of like prompt process we can do from Azure. First one is you are not non-technical,
Right,
suppose, or not super technical. You want something
right.
super simple. So in that case, you can just
Okay,
load your file.
awesome.
You can just like make it, or if you already have the data into the Azure AI search, make it connected. Or you can also like give this type of
Okay,
like bring search option. That's it. And you can also like and deploy that agent and then play with it. But if you want to control it, if you want to like test it more in detail, that's where I will suggest you to like go to prompt flow. You build your own something scratch, suppose the um, chat on your own data. So in this case you are kind of like taking the input. You are doing the like fetch the content from certain URL, summarizing it, classifying it, converting into dictionary, doing some content classification. If you want to do something more custom, more detailed, then I will suggest you to use prompt flow. But if you want to just use basic chat on your PDF or at SQL database, use Azure AI Foundry in that case. And in both cases you can deploy it. In this case I need to create the computer and then I can deploy it, but you can also like deploy this one as a web app too, or is an API if you want.
okay, awesome. Rahat, as we are going deep
Mhm.
into the topic, I just want to ask you a non-technical question. I mean, what are the most common
Yes.
challenges organization face when deploying AI model through Azure AI Foundry?
So few of the big challenges we see as I was when I was using those AI model, those are like big. When you're deploying it, you need to either use, like, you need to use them, you need to have them, that may cost some money. If you are using it a lot of like a back and forth time, you are using a lot of like tokens, that cost some money too. And a lot of times GPT can also like hallucinate, provide you misinformation, unverified information, combine 3 4 data sources and give you something. So that is another key thing you need to consider, because you don't want your application to give wrong information to your like users. So in that case, you need to have content safety, you need to validate more, you need to see the information that your chatbot is responding with are accurate or not, they have any proper source or not. You need to ground them, and also like you need to control the temperature. So building something quick and dirty is easy, but building something enterprise ready is a bit work, because you need to like validate, you need to think about monitoring part. What if all of a sudden thousands of people are using it? In that case, one instance is not enough, you need to have hundreds of instances. So you need to pay for those instances too, because those quota is also limited. You cannot just like deploy hundreds of instances at a time. So those things we can talk about that another day. Enterprise LLM lifecycle, yeah, that's how I see.
Okay. Another question I'm very curious about asking you, as you are practicing a long time for in artificial intelligence field. Do you think AI is advancing faster than demand and using the different industry? Is there a gap between what AI can do and what actually is needed in the real world?
Yes and no. So the way I see it is AI is advancing extremely fast, no doubt. But at the same time, a lot of people I feel does AI based on the hype, so not based on the use cases. First of all, to build any type of AI, you need to know what is the problem you're trying to solve. Is there is any do you have the data or not? Can AI solve it or not? So once you have the answer of, you know, the problem, you know the input and output, the expected part, you know, like, who is this for? It's like not every single solution is for everyone. Who is going to use it? Is it an analyst? Is it insurance provider? Is it a developer? Those type of personas. And then you also need to know how are you going to maintain that one, deploy that one, like make it usable. So like once you figure out the process of AI lifecycle, and then you also like kind of like identify the return on investment. Not every AI is actually good for your business too, because maybe it's super costly. It's not giving you the good output in that case. So just building an AI is not the right thing. Building the right AI for the right use case is the right thing we always see, and that's where you see the most output too. So uh, that's why I said yes and no. So you need to identify those things. That's the first thing, and then once you identify, you can always build a good use case. And people also need to learn. People also need to understand, cope up with the market, rather than the hype. They also need, as I was saying, AI is not just GPT or Chat GPT. GPT kind of use cases are just one way of like using AI, and only 13 to 15% of the AI use cases are with GPT. But most of the things we see are non-GPT traditional. So developers need to understand how can they use like add AI services or AI capabilities using some API calls. You don't need to build everything from scratch. How can you use a vision document for your mobile app or for your like web app? How can you use some sort of like language translation, so that you're not like providing only in English or Bangla, you're building something for global market? How can you use instruction based information? How can you like have content safety, so that those things are safe, the usage of AI and everything? So that is also important. And um, like you need to know how to use it, when to use it, rather than like just doing some sort of like every building something from scratch always.
Okay, nice, nice reply. And uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So two more things. Yeah, you had something.
no,
Yes, please.
move forward, Rad.
No, no, I'm almost like done with my quick thing, because Azure AI Foundry is also new. You can see some of the things that they're doing are still in preview phase. You can fine tune the LLM models that we see, Phi, GPT kind of things, with your own data. This is one of the like way from here. You won't have to. Another day I can show how can you fine tune and what is the difference between before fine tune and after fine tune. That is also important. You can also use prompt flow from the Azure AI Foundry too, and you can do the same thing from Azure Machine Learning as well. It's the same exact like same thing, so there is no difference. Tracing and tracing, I haven't used it, but this is something that's on my list. When you build something on an enterprise level, it's not just like a chat with your chat GPT. No, there can be some sort of like Azure function that is converted like doing some information search on SQL database. There can be PDF search, there can be context search, there can be uh, some sort of like embedding as well. So those things you can use tracing to validate, to test, to debug your LLM app. This is something will be very exciting actually. Evaluation, this is something is also like getting more important. I can just quickly show in the prompt flow there is also like evaluation option. So suppose one of the thing is example, you can build an LLM based workflow, and then you can try it on bulk of data. So in this case, if I just see, I have asked use it in uh, 10 or 11 different questions, and I tried to get the answer from the my flow. But I also like provided some sample answers in this case, and I see that sometime LLM is doing good job and it is automatically validating as well. I don't need to manually validate. It's saying GPT grounded is 5, which means the answer that I provided, GPT was able to like find out the same answer from a bunch of PDFs that I provided. But in some cases, the answer that I provided, GPT could not find out the answer, got confused with all the information, and the GPT kind of validate its own activities and said, "Oh, you are one, but you are five here." So those evaluate before pushing it into prod, so that the AI is good, it's safe, and it's giving a good response. One thing I always say is AI always responds with something. If I train a model, detect a dog or cat, and if I put my photo, it will call me dog one time, another time it will tell me I'm a cat. AI will always say something, but it's our responsibility to information and guide it into the right. We also like talked about a bit about the content safety, which is extremely important too. So I can give a quick demo example here. So what is content safety? So you can have a this type of like chat
Rahab,
flow,
if you can
but
also added like
yes.
how Azure Foundry uh, maintain about the biasness about the model and decision making with content safety.
So two things are happening here. When we talk about the content safety or safety in GPT-4, there is safety is, so we don't need to do anything. If you use this type of model, if you ask something like racist like information, ask it to the GPT, or if you ask something suicidal information, self-harm information, GPT will stop you. GPT-4 4.0 will stop you. It's not going to give you
Okay.
answer. But if you use a open source or something else, Cohere or any other company that are building, those doesn't have that built in. So that's why like both Azure Foundry has the content safety option and also like prompt flow too. It's the same thing. So first, one thing, if you want to use content safety, you need to create this content safety service. So from the Azure Azure portal, once you create that service, it's a super create any other service. Just search on your created resource. Once you create that service, you need to connect that service. So you need to go to the connection. You need to suppose I have it already created, connected. You can just create connect. You can just select Azure Content Safety. You need to provide the API key, endpoint ID, which you get from the here actually. If I just select security now. Um, Not this one. Resource management, API key and keep endpoint. Those things are there. If you just copy it there, you will be able to like connect this one in your Azure prompt flow. Once you connect this one, you can easily drag and drop content safety into your prompt flow in your Azure AI Foundry or even Azure Machine Learning Studio as well. Then you can, once you connect it, you need to say hate category, self-harm category, sexual text category, or violence category. You can have high sensitivity, you can have mid, low, this type of things. And the input here is the input in this one. So I'm just like
Okay.
saying input question is this. So output will provide me some sort of like sample that, oh, it is accepted or not accepted, something like this. So whenever users are asking something unusual, it will you always need to have content safety at the beginning and at the end in both cases. Why? Whenever I am me as a user asking something really bad, it should not go up to a GPT. It should like be filtered right after asking, so that it will say, oh, you are asking something that is irrelevant or that is self-harm. Or if you build a chatbot for teenagers or 10 years old kid, that kid is not supposed to ask something unusual. So whenever your content safety find out it is for inappropriate for this age group, it will stop it. But in some cases it will still pass it through. But if GPT makes a mistake, prepare something kind of like a inappropriate response for the chat or for the ask, it should also like stop it before giving it to the user too. So you need to keep it content safety in both cases to maintain the safety. And once you have all those content filters and everything, you can deploy it from the Azure Foundry too. You can also have your custom content filter option as well. So if you want to like a key do that type of like activity, you can have content safety on image too, because it can be image based, it can be text based. You can also like use content safety from a prompt shield perspective as well. Those are a lot of features. We won't be able to see. It will take like weeks, every week, 1 hour actually to cover. But the purpose is to like giving an overview so that whoever is watching it, this show, they try it at home and use it and use those as a best practices. And the last thing is more into like Azure AI Foundry has the model endpoint, as I have already showed. You can upload your own data, connect your own data sources, index them. In this case, you have new connection can be blob container. It can be some sort of like different databases too. You can connect different types of data sources, and then try out AI agent, model catalog, prompt again. As I said, if you want to build something GPT based, use Azure AI Foundry, agent, playground to play. If you just some sort of like AI feature, like image based, like language translation, those things, you don't need to build something scratch. You just do the API call from the Azure AI services. You can do that one. But if you want to like build some sort of flow, either you can do it from the prompt flow, or you can prompt flow from Azure Machine Learning to build something custom by yourself. But if you want to build custom AI model, you always go with the notebook, and then load your data, do all those like custom activities in this case. So literally you're getting every single option that you need to work with AI, build AI, implement AI features for your organization and for your system.
Okay. Yeah. Very informative session. We are very close to in end of our session, Rahat. Could you please summarize the presentation? I mean, what one can get from the presentation? I mean, if someone in the perspective of a student, or maybe some organization like that need to dive into artificial intelligence field, and how they can get they get summary your presentation.
So first thing is they need to have a Azure account, Azure portal.azure.com. If you are a student, you get I think a $200 free credit every month for a few months. So take advantage of that one. Once you create that one, as I was saying, create Azure AI Foundry and Azure Machine Learning Studio. While you should also like try out with Azure OpenAI services, content safety. Try it in just prepare them in bulk, and then try both Azure AI Foundry and Azure Machine Learning Studio. If you're a student, you have some class project, apply a notebook-based activities. Use like cloud resources to apply some sort of like Python script, come up with some sort of model, apply it on some sort of data, so that you're not just doing it locally, you are doing it in a proper environment. Try out those like features that you have seen into the Azure AI Foundry. Build a small agent app. Try to chat on your own data. Try out those cool services that Azure AI services are already offering. You don't need to have anything actually. You can just use it just API call, or you can just like use it from the portal too. And while you are doing it, the more advanced you get, go for fine tuning, try out on your own data. If you have some Bangladeshi data set in Bengali, you can always fine tune it with that data set as well, use open source model. And then you can kind of like build your knowledge on top of one after one. So nothing to rush. As I always say, is it's good to play with ChatGPT, but you always need to know the basics. You always need to know what is data, what type of data you are playing with, write Python code. How can you play those things? Understand how cloud computing works. Those will give you and take you further.
Thanks, Rahat. Thanks for your amazing presentation. I really appreciate the insight you shared and the effort you put into it. Uh,
Thank you so
and
much.
we have another session. So
Yeah.
yeah, see you next
Next
time.
session will be a bit more shorter, but it's more into like I want to talk a bit about the responsible part. So responsible AI for traditional, responsible AI for generative AI. It's a bit new. Not a lot of people are looking at that, so that we
Okay.
will try to have like a 30 minutes conversation
Okay.
on that part.
Yeah, we are waiting for that session. So till then, Tata. Bye bye.
Perfect. Thank you so much.